you destroy...
I'll see you terminated! Let my fury rain down upon thee!
Engage the engines.
Let chaos paint the stars red. We have purified the battlefield of the enemy's taint. The Emperor gave me a vision. Heresy grows from idleness.
an excellent place for contemplation. One has the best view of the cathedral from here. Mesmerizing, wouldn't you say? An impeccable manifestation of the God Emperor's sublimity. That is the purpose of all temples to the God Emperor, to inspire awe and reverence. For it is the duty of his servants to persevere in their tireless service until they are presented with the chance to give their very life for the master of humanity. Allow me to introduce myself. Conrad Voigtveer, Master of Whispers, in the employ of Her Ladyship Rogue Trader Theodora von Valencias, at your service. I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with you in person before. My regards, Master. Or should I say, von Valencias, scion of a blessed rogue trader house in the service of the Imperium. Perhaps this kinship came as a shock to you. Understandably so, given that all evidence of the connection was lost in the generations separating you and Lord Captain Theodora. It required no small effort on the part of Her Ladyship's servants to discover and verify this blood tie, which has now made you one of the heirs of this dynasty. So that you may fulfill your blood duty, whatever obligations you had before, they are henceforth null and void. By order of the Lord Captain, you have been requisitioned to serve the rogue trader, indeed blessed by the God Emperor. Your former position may have been different from conventional service as part of one of the institutions of the Imperium, but from now on, a different fate awaits you. One chosen for you by the Lord Captain. I advise you to come to terms with this reality as quickly as possible. Such are the traditions of the Imperium. Lord Captain is the title that was established in the annals of the Lex Imperialis at the time when the first rogue traders entered the God Emperor's service, and therefore, it is sacrosanct. To put it plainly, I am the head of the network of spies and informers who serve the interests of House von Valencias. I uncover weak links both among Lady Theodora's retinue and in the ranks of her rivals. I eliminate our vulnerabilities and exploit those of others. I would rather not discuss the Lord Captain behind her back, especially not on board her ship. No one knows better than I that whispers are wont to attract particularly close attention. Suffice it to say that Her Ladyship is the bearer of the sacred warrant of trade and a woman of immense power and entitlement. However privileged your position may be, I ask that you do not incur her anger by being disrespectful or obtuse. Lady Theodora despises both qualities. There is, and you will meet him soon enough. But of course, I have come to invite you to a meeting with Lady Theodora. I imagine you have many questions for your patroness, and I'm sure she has just as many questions for you. It is regrettable that you haven't yet had an opportunity to speak. It has been an arduous voyage thus far. The Lord Captain and Master Ethelthred von Valencius are conversing on the observation platform. Let us join them there.
We shall reclaim what is rightfully ours. We are bound by the blood of martyrs.
One of the Von Valencius trophy rooms. Perhaps you would like to take a look around after your audience with the Lord Captain.
What's happening? Run! The servitors have gone berserk!
I am but a faithful herald of the righteous wrath. Actions will speak louder than words. This is beyond me. I cannot comply. The Emperor commands. I will not be deterred.
Duty prevails.
Rejoice in service.
What suspiciously poor timing for such an accident. Servitors malfunction on the officer's deck at exactly the same moment when the rogue trader and her heirs are gathered here. I have blocked all passages between the upper and lower sectors of the residential decks. If this is a deliberate attack, it should stop the culprits from advancing their plan. I'm afraid I must remain here. For Lady Theodora's safety, I have to oversee the execution of these orders personally. I hope you will have no difficulty reaching the observation platform on your own. It is just at the end of...
The Divine watches over us!
That is simply irrational, Lady Theodora. Assimilation into the trade structure would be political and economic suicide. Practically an admission of heresy.
Then suggest an alternative that will satisfy me. I have described the situation. No worse than my seneschal could have done. Make a decision. What will you do with Ion 6, Edelthrad? Our second candidate has joined us. Approach and give me your answer. Consider this hypothetical situation. Ion 6. A new world on the fringes of the Coronis expanse. High seismic activity, regular magma eruptions, metamorphic rock deposits, prospects for large-scale mining. The world is populated by natives who worship some heretical underworld spirits that protect those who offer them sacrifices. Flights of fancy, you might say, but attempts to install ore extractors have failed for the second time. The mining crews sent to the planet's surface simply vanished overnight. My question to you is, what would you do with this poisoned treasure? Reasonable and prudent. However, chasing after ethereal creatures may prove a rather long and fruitless endeavor.
Apart from Xenos, an untrodden planet might be teeming with myriad horrors that are far more dangerous and difficult to eradicate. I suspect that you are simply unaware of their existence. Insolent, ignorant upstart. How dare you?
Edelthrad, I believe I gave you an assignment on this ship. Explain to me then why my senior congregator is still dawdling about the officer's deck, instead of proceeding to the middle decks to commence the inspection of the compartments in his purview.
I beg your forgiveness, Lady Theodora. Your presence has such a profound effect on me that I well forgot the time.
So, why are you here? Clarity. A luxury that few of us can afford. There is a reason why I did not explain all the details of the question I posed to you earlier. Beyond the borders of the Imperium, Seldom is one granted an opportunity to enjoy information in abundance. This, however, is one such opportunity. My name is Theodora von Valancius Massimo of Scaris. I am a rogue trader in the service of the God Emperor of humanity. And my rights and freedoms are vindicated by a most sacred relic. The warrant of trade, kept aboard this very vessel. Mine is the honor to venture into the darkness beyond the Imperium. It is my decision alone to determine the fate of whatever I find past the bounds of the explored void. Every world I discover, along with all there is to find thereon. Resources, people, riches, and mysteries is mine by right. I command millions of lives, rule over numerous... Oh yes, you would be, wouldn't you? The question is, am I ready to choose you over the rest? You came aboard hours before the warp jump, and have not yet Blood right alone is not enough to earn the high honor of becoming the bearer of a warrant of trade. Nonetheless, your abilities and talents may yet prove useful. If not for the role of Lord Captain, then for that of their closest ally. Alas, even those responsibilities can at times be too challenging for those who share your blood. Kunrad Voitvir served me for many years before he made his mistake. I have some time before the Navigator gives the signal to initiate the Void ship's translation out of the warp, and my presence is required on the bridge. Is that so? Perhaps the technomats were careless during maintenance. Or it could be the warp playing tricks on us in spite of the Gellerfield. Or perhaps there is something to all the stories about the ship being possessed after all.
Lady Theodora, for the God Emperor's sake, surely you do not intend to start repeating idle rumors spread about by uneducated riffraff.
Enough, Abelard. Such hearsay amuses me. Idira eagerly retells me everything she learns from the whispers of her unseen advisors. This ship is thousands of years old. It has enough hidden nooks, malfunctioning cogitators, and unused compartments to make ignorant folks speak of specters dwelling inside the bulkheads and plotting against those who yet live. Observe, learn, absorb. It will take time for you to find your bearings aboard this vessel and in your new position. Eventually, I will find a post that suits you as I did for Ethelthrad. Until that time comes, consider yourself my aide. In that case, I shall head to... Disturbances reported on the adjacent decks. Seneschal, if the need arises, protect the new blood. It is possible that the chance to
Grovel before the faithful.
All of you will bleed! Don't touch me!
One fewer target. Reduced to dust. Follow my lead.
I serve the ruinous powers! Death to the weak!
Just a minor setback.
Out of my way!
and so it shall be done.
Death to non-believers!
I've seen worse battles than this in my time. I took care of this one.
To the heretics!
Brace yourself, Abelard.
I can't allow myself to do this. Let my enemies tremble at the sound of my steps.
I serve the ruinous powers. Look out.
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones. Reduced to dust.
Mort, take a team with you and clear a path to the transport line. Do not let a single whoreson survive. Didn't bat an eye when that scum burst onto the deck, huh? Not bad. I have seen many an officer who panicked at the sight of combat on the upper decks. The false sense of security offered by their position makes them that much more vulnerable to the harsh realities of warp travel. Mort has gone on ahead to clear a path for us. If you want to make yourself useful, go after him and see if the Arch-Militant requires aid. And be quick about it.
With each step, I forge my destiny among the stars.
Thank Providence you are alive and well.
Always on time, eh, Coonrad? The moment we finish chasing the riffraff around the deck, you show up. Always just after the fighting's done. You could set your chrono by it.
Mort, hold yourself together.
What, did the Lord Captain send you to chivvy us along? We're all done here. I'll report right away.
Master of Whispers, what is happening on my ship?
The Voxnet is silent. The Voxmaster is not responding. Armed assailants have stormed the officer's deck, and my arch-militant just destroyed several more heretics on the way here. Is this a severe case of warp madness? Have some of my crew lost their minds and...
I have not yet received word from the Engineerium regarding any Gellerfield failures, but communications were already unstable half an hour ago, and now they have ceased altogether. Whatever the cause may be, the consequences are spreading fast. I am receiving scattered reports from the middle decks, and the only Voxcasts from the lower bays are one-way heretical gibberish. That the madmen have already reached the officer's deck suggests that this outrage was planned in advance. Perhaps this is an organizer.
Lunatics, fools, heretics. This ship houses thousands upon thousands of people. Pernicious thoughts and warp-induced delusions could have tainted any one of them. It is a difficult notion to accept, but such risks are inescapable. First, we have to confirm that the bridge and the navigator's sanctum are secure. And I have the means to do both things at once. Edelthrad, where is he? I must know if he is unharmed. A psyker aboard a ship that is potentially being assailed by the warp could pose a greater threat to himself and others than a whole army of madmen with improvised weapons.
I tried to locate him, but the last thing known about his movements is that he arrived on Transitional Deck 18.
Blast it! Master of Whispers, find Edelthrad immediately. Seneschal, locate Tlas and the Sister of Battle. Both are to remain at my side. Arch-militant, with me. I must go to my study. And it appears we might encounter heretics along the way.
If I may, Lord Captain. Transitional Deck 18 is at the heart of the disturbance, and if our goal is to bring Edelthrad back, I could use some support. After all, I'm not as adept at direction.
Then it's settled. Find Edelthrad and bring him here. In whatever state you find him. This elevator leads to restricted compartments such as my personal chambers and the bridge. Do not let me down. Then move out! Mort, come.
Are you ready to head to 18? It is a long walk, and you do not even have proper gear. Of course you will. Lady Theodora. Careful, careful. Be gentle with our guest. He has an important mission to complete during our visit to the Warren Chamber. And for that, I need him breathing. Ah, you are back with us, I see. Delightful. How perceptive of you. I'll help you with the next insight. I need you here for your blood. You have the option to share it voluntarily. We are in the anteroom of the Warren Chamber, this void ship's most hallowed vault. There, beyond those gates, lies the relic that gives Theodora all of her power. The sacred Warrant of Trade. Only one obstacle remains on my path to obtaining it. The gates of the chamber are guarded by the Sentinel, an ancient device that will only open the door to a true heir of the dynasty. I expected to do this part myself, but never mind. I am afraid that you have no choice in the matter. Try to resist, and I will demonstrate the power that the warp holds over mortals.
High levels of caustic humors. The subject is in a state of heightened stress. Do you require assistance? Request accepted. Initiating defense protocol.
There is still another way!
Let us walk this path to the end.
Escort the child of the house to safety. frequencies disrupted.
Master, restore communication with the navigator's sanctum. I am trying to contact the bridge. If anyone can hear me on this frequency, regroup all of it.
Communication protocols breached. Signal latency assessment unavailable. Unable to temporary obnubilation following acute stress. Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel standing by. Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel designed as a personal escort of the child of the house and a means of communication. Distance from the current location to the nearest arsenal. Initiating situational calculations. Middle and upper decks. Assuming the probability of safe placement in areas of concentration of armed units. Calculating. To prevent unauthorized units from breaching the Warren Chamber, preemptive sealing must be initiated. The mobile unit will start executing the received order immediately.
Let the faith guide my path to glory.
Run, fools, or fall! Master! Whatever are you doing in the Warren Chamber? How did you... Throne preserve me! What is the meaning of this? What? Oh, holy God, Emperor! I presume he is the one responsible for the mutiny. And, Master, I wish to remind you that you are to refer to the Lord Captain as Lady Theodora. Saints' blood! And it is small wonder that the heretics are so well organized. I thought his order to seal the passages between decks was his attempt to stop the attackers from spreading to other levels. But now I see the real reason. It was to stop the enforcers from intervening. At least you are alive, and now safe, Master. Alas, I doubt we can afford to look for a compartment to sit out this... You're in a bad way. I can treat your wounds. I have a Medicaid kit with me. And, for the love of the throne, now is not a good time to be walking around the...
Blessed is Fon...
What advice do you seek?
We are bound by the blood of martyrs.
This wound will make a fine scar.
Even in the darkest moments, there is hope.
We are the spear.
No suffering will make me forget his sacred words. Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean.
Arm yourself. Our enemies may find us at any moment. Arm yourself. Our enemies may find us at any moment. That is a noticeable improvement. Now you're prepared for the trials ahead. The lower decks are teeming with heretics instigating the rabble to revolt. But that is the least of our problems. The ship's enforcers are rounding up the scoundrels and suppressing the resistance. The situation on the middle decks is much worse, although strike teams have already... But that is not the worst of it all. All these jolts and shaking are most alarming. These are signs that the navigator and the master helmsman are having difficulty translating the ship out of the warp and into real space. I fear that they may have already lost control. We must reach the navigator's sanctum and get a handle on the situation. If we can manage that, some aboard this vessel may yet survive. Come. The Lord Captain is calling her crew to battle, which means the Vox networks are set up for broadcast transmission, not message exchange. Splendid. While the rogue trader inspires proper resolve to fight in her subjects, you and I shall prove that her trust in us is well deserved. Onward!
You to the dark powers!
May the blessings of the Divine grant us the courage and strength.
Let the blood flow!
Rejoice in service! Let my furies rain down upon thee!
rather not. That's not the Seneschal's job.
Chaos guides me.
I am your doom.
I shall endure everything with unshakable faith.
One fewer target.
Actions will speak louder than what your corrupt way has failed.
Indeed. I've suffered worse.
You have been judged and found. Let this be the warning to all who oppose us. Your corrupt way has failed you.
Victory is imminent.
Reduced to dust.
We shall reclaim what is rightfully ours.
Sometimes you...
For the Emperor. I won't suffer this.